A nice view. It's a little smaller than I thought it would be.
Okay, maybe if you'd come to even one rehearsal?
Maybe you need to rehearse sitting in a box, Anton. I don't.
Fine.
Not this guy. I can't breathe!
Yes, you can.
No, so small! It's so small!
Relax, it's only been 20 minutes.
I wanna be famous.
Burt and Anton, when we find them as adults, they have been around the block a few times, and they've spent most of their childhood and certainly all of their adulthood together, and there's some animosity brewing between them. So they finally decide to do the trick to end all tricks, the hot box, a glass box dangling over the Vegas Strip. And the trick goes horribly wrong, as you might expect.
He really loves Burt, and he loves doing magic, and that's all he really wants out of life, is to just keep doing magic.
That begins the downfall of their relationship and of Burt Wonderstone.
Burt has, when we meet him in the story, lost touch with why he fell in love with magic and what magic did for him. He's a slave to his ego, his vanity, his desires. He's really just gone whole hog into his show business superstardom.
I'm the one to announce to Burt Wonderstone that he's broke, pretty much, and that kind of starts his slide into mediocrity.
A magician whose act is past his prime, and not only is he losing his audience, but there's a new act in town.
They said this was a magician's bar.
Mr. Gray, what you do is not magic.
I understand. It's natural for a dying leaf to be frightened by the autumn wind. It's not about pulling a rabbit out of your hat anymore. It's about pulling your heart out of your chest.
The name says it all. Steve Gray, brain rapist. You know, he's a head tripper, a mind gripper, a soul stripper, a water sipper, a honey dripper, hedge clipper. He does all that.
Clearly, Burt hates Steve Gray. He is a threat. But more importantly than that, Burt feels that Steve Gray has no respect for the art of magic. And this is something very important to Burt. You know, this is something that he grew up with, and he respects the rules and the laws and sort of the guidelines of this magic culture. And Steve Gray thumbs his nose at it, and Burt does not care for that.
You know, if you're like me, my inner child is hungry and crying out for something more nourishing.
It really isn't that I dislike him so much, is that he exists in the area that I want to be standing. I would never let him know that, because I have to make him believe that what he has is worthless.
Is a terrible trick to do for children. What if they try and copy you?
I'll sue them.
She finds herself thrust literally into the role of magician's assistant, which is something she never wanted to be. She wanted to be a magician.
Time for my final disappearing act. Goodbye, Burt.
Where did he go?
He has gone to a better place.
He saw me as a magician when he was a kid, and I made an enormous impression on him. And he bought a kit that I was selling, a magic kit, and it helped him to become a magician. What you're feeling right now, that's why you became a magician.
How did you do that?
It's partially deboned.
It's a redemption story of a guy trying to make his way back and realize where he went off the track, get his partner back, and find their way back to the top of the magic ladder.
Watch this.
Where did it go?
I don't know.
My granddaughter gave me that. What have you done? What have you done?
No, I have it. It's right here. I'm a magician. I should have explained that before. Oh my God. You've got it. It's in your hand. Chill out.
He's so in love with himself, and Steve plays it so endearingly in a weird way, because Steve is so attractive and likable that despite his ego, you still fall for Burt Wonderstone. You still like him.
Carell's a great improver, like the best I think I've ever worked with. He's like on another plane, and he makes you better. It's like the Winchester Mystery House of just ways to go and ad-libbing.
He's really, really smart. He's really smart about not only comedy, but about character.
Ladies and gentlemen, our most famous illusion, one we call Man-Head Lady Body.
He grounds a lot of the broader comedy just by being the voice of the audience almost and saying, Burt, you look ridiculous.
People don't know he was a fireman years ago before his acting career took off, and he is a great, compassionate, human, funny dude with a sweet, sweet heart, and that's what we needed for Anton.
This is probably one of the sweetest, if not the sweetest, nicest man I think I've ever played. He's just a real sweetheart.
He and Steve work so well together, their banter. I mean, the amount of improv that has made it into the film because of how well they bounce off each other is astonishing. I mean, they're just really great.
It's just really a joy, you know, to be able to find somebody that you can kind of be on the same wavelength and go off.
You are truly brave. I only hope you're ready to face the fire!
It's interesting to see that comic Jim Carrey that we've always known, but then see this other side of him.
Sorry. Guilty pleasure.
I've never been taken out of my character so much as when I'm in a scene with him because I just want to watch.
I'm sure you've seen people walk on red-hot coals. But I doubt you've seen anyone spend the night on red-hot coals. I do all my own stunts. There was one time where I laid down on the ground. That was me.
See you in the morning. Somebody give me a wake-up call or I'll sleep right through.
I have an odd body language that can't really be repeated by other people for some reason. I have a turtle-shaped type of jutting neck, a very kind of spastic leg movements and things like that, and it's pretty easy to see when there's a stunt double involved.
Hey, pal, what's your problem?
I don't have a problem, but you do. Your Zorro shuffle is sloppy, your lips move when you do the Amesley count, your pattern is boring and sad. You're trying to dazzle people, not put them to sleep, for God's sakes.
When the directors told me that Alan was going to play the part of the grandpa, I was ecstatic. I thought, wow, just to meet the guy, let alone work with him, was going to be a thrill. And he is funny and charming and kind and just such a good actor.
Ooh, on second thought, you can keep that.
I get to play him as a young magician and an old magician. I'm praying for a lot of CGI.
Judah! Judah! Hey, remember my son, Judah? He came out to watch you sit motionless in a box.
Hey there, Judah. This is awesome. I wish I could be up there with you.
Ah, you don't want to do that, son. It's gonna stink in there.
James Gandolfini he's funny without even trying to be funny because, again, he's just playing the character. He's not trying to say jokes or be funny. He's just playing it as it's written, as he sees it, and he's completely committed to it.
I've been to a solo act for a million years, and it's going pretty good.
Is it really? I'm sure it is, but I just think that if we teamed up, it could bring your career to the next level.
Well, I'm on postage stamps in 6 countries.
Having David Copperfield's blessing was like the guardian spirit, you know, it meant that our magic would be legitimate and that we had the master's blessing.
Now I'm going to leave. I know how that's done.
My idols were Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire and Charlie Chaplin and Walt Disney, and so to take magic and put it back in film when I got so much out of film is great.
Would you like to get some coffee?
Yeah, sure.
None for you. It'll make your heart explode.
No, it won't. Don't worry. It's mean.
Olivia Wilde is beautiful and smart and talented and wonderful.
It's a part that could have just been easily kind of a throwaway, let's just do something funny and wear a silly costume and be done with it. But she really approached it like a character, and I think it comes across that way. It's a really fleshed out but funny character at the same time.
I couldn't believe that someone hadn't made a comedy about Vegas magicians before. It seemed so obviously juicy as material for a comedy, and I loved how classic it seemed in terms of the tone of the comedy and the themes, you know, it was something that made me think of classic comedies that I grew up with and really aspired to be a part of.
It's a bubble bath. You can't say anything. Come on in.
Okay, I just think we need to talk about everything because I just... Oh my God! Burt!
Oh, the bubbles seem to have dissipated.
Superstar, superstar.
Very much about what I think most really good projects are about, which is about falling from grace and redemption.
What? It's about a guy who comes to his senses and learns what's valuable.
I really have to pee, Richard.
It's fresh, but it's also got, I think, elements that make this a classic comedy.
Superstar, superstar, superstar.
You're beautiful, beautiful. Your beautiful face. Stop it. I won't stop it. I'll never stop it. I miss you. I miss you like a dog misses his bone.